Rashi, the pasuk says at the beginning of the parasha, Im Lovan Garti. So Rashi says, a famous Rashi says, Lovan Garti, Tarek Mitzvah Shamarti. What message was Yaakov Avinu conveying over here? What does Esau care? What does Esau need to know? He did keep Tarek Mitzvahs, didn't keep Tarek Mitzvahs. What message is Yaakov Avinu conveying over here? Im Lovan Garti. In other words, I lived with Lovan for so many years, and nothing changed in my life. I kept the same path. I kept the same. What message was he conveying over here? But the truth is that this parasha over here, we're speaking about discussing Yaakov Avinu, is a very important concept over here regarding Yaakov Avinu. It's very important for us, and it's very, very nagea to, especially in today, the madrega of Yaakov Avinu that he teaches us. Each of the Avos HaKadoshim teach us a certain midah. And the midah of Yaakov Avinu is famed for, is the midah that's called the midah of Hishtavus. The midah of Hishtavus means a midah of a person has to be the same person like Yaakov Avinu in the house of Lavan so many years. Nothing changes. This world is a world of changes. Olam Hazeh, by very definition, is a world of Meshana Itim, Machlev Zmanim, the seasons. Everything's changing the whole time. A Yid's life doesn't change. We live the same life as we've always lived. And even within a person's own life, there's so many different nisyonos, so many different experiences, so many different things that come a person's way. A person has to acquire, it's essential for a person to succeed in life, a person has to acquire the midah of hishtavus. A person should be able to be the same person. In other words, the same person meaning to continue the same avodah. Yaakov Avinu is the kavim tzoi, is the middle. The middle means he's balanced, he walks, nothing topples him. He walks, he continues his avodah with his tmimus. Whatever's facing him, nothing changes. And this is something that if a yid doesn't acquire this midah, he's gonna the first sign that's gonna come is gonna imbalance him. He's not gonna be able to survive. He's gonna topple over. He's gonna fall over the first obstacle that comes his way. This midah of Hishtavus is a midah of Yaakov Avinu, and it's the midah that Yaakov Avinu teaches Am Yisrael, which is the most essential midah for a person to get through all the trials and all the nisyonos and all the shinuyim that go on all the time in this world. And that is what Yaakov is saying in Love and Garti. The emes is, the truth is that this midah that we're talking about is the midah, which is each of the Avos HaKadoshim manifested a certain name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a certain shame of Hashem. Yeah, Avraham Avinu is Chesed, it's a shame of Kael, Chesed Kael Kol Hayom. Yitzchak Avinu is Gevura, is Elikim. Yaakov Avinu is the midah of Yud-Kei Vov-Kei. The midah of Yud-Kei Vov-Kei is Hoya, Hoya V'Yeh. What does it mean, Hoya, Hoya V'Yeh? It's constant. It's whatever was Hoya is Hoya. Whatever is Hoya is Yeh. Like Chazal say, Ani Hashem, Ani Havai Eloi Shanisi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Lo Shanisi. Just like there's no Hishtanus, there's no change, Kaviyachal by Hashem, so also the midah that we have to manifestate, which is the midah of Shivisi Hashem, the Negdi Summit, is the midah of not to change, to be consistent in our avodas Hashem. And whatever comes our way, we're continuing with the same avodah. And that's why the famous pasuk in Tehillim, Shivisi Hashem Havai Lenegdi Summit. Even if it's Lenegdi, even if sometimes things are not going your way, even if sometimes you think it should be going one way, it's Lenegdi. I feel that I'm facing opposites. I'm facing overwhelming odds. Talmud, it's got to be the same thing. Ani Hashem Lo Shanisi. This is really the avodah of clinging to the Shem Havaya of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is really the whole avodah of, and this is practical avodah. Every time we say Shema Yisrael, every time we say this pasuk Shema Yisrael, we should really be thinking, and we should really be mekabel upon ourselves this avodah. That's why we cover our eyes when we say Shema Yisrael. One of the reasons why we cover our eyes when we say Shema Yisrael is because we say, Hashem, I don't know what's in store for me. I don't know what's in front of me. I don't know what the next hurdle is. I don't know what the next. I don't know what to face when I open my eyes. One thing I know, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. This is gonna stay the same. I'm gonna be the same person. Hashem Echad, just like Hashem is one, and Hashem there's no shinui. So too in my avodah, this is the way I'm gonna be. Ani Hashem, V'lo Shanisi, and that's the avodah of the pasuk Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And that's why we know that over the years, so many Rahman al-Islam, so many people who died al Kiddush Hashem, millions of Jews that died al Kiddush Hashem, always died, the neshamas left them when they were reciting this pasuk. Why? Because they were at the most traumatic moments of their life. They were at the most painful moments of their life. They were about to be tortured to death. Rahman al-Islam. What's going on in their minds? The answer is, it's the same avodah. Milon Gadol, Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is the martyr. Rabbi Akiva is the symbol of martyr. And the Gemara says that the Talmidim Rabbi Akiva, they were going out of their minds how Rabbi Akiva could remain so tranquil in these testing times. How could he remain so calm and so tranquil and so how do you do this? How do you do this? This is the avodah of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva we know is the same neshama as Yaakov Avinu, Rabbi Akiva and Yaakov. The Ariya Kodesh says the same neshama. Rabbi Akiva is going through whatever he's going through, but he remains the same Rabbi Akiva. A person who's tranquil when things are good, he doesn't get overwhelmed when he sees a shefa of good, he doesn't get overwhelmed when he sees chas v'shalom the opposite. This is the avodah of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, and everybody should apply this to their every day when they say Shema Yisrael. And that's why we say Shema Yisrael in the morning, we say Shema Yisrael in the evening, because every morning comes along with its avodah, and every evening comes along with its avodah. But this is the avodah of Shema Yisrael. Otherwise, a person is not a ben melech, a king, a god who's stationed by the palace. Whatever the weather is, it doesn't matter. He stays there, he stands there, and anything that happens, he must stay in the same place. A king will not tolerate an Eved who says, well, I got up in a wrong mood this morning, or this happened to me this morning. You're a god, you're an Eved, you're an Eved HaMelech, and therefore there's no excuses. That's why as soon as we say the pasuk of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, we immediately continue with the pasuk with the words Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elolam Vod. This is Malchus. An Eved HaMelech, somebody who's Mekabel Malchus, means Hashem, I know I'm an Eved Hashem, an Eved of the Melech, and therefore my avodah is the same. There's a hishtavos. I'm going to stay the same, whatever it is. I'm clinging to you, Hashem, and nothing that's going on around me is going to change in my avodah. This is probably one of the most practical avodas in today's day and age, because every day a person wakes up and there's different challenges, and a person should wake up with this midah of ishtavos is indeed not an easy task, and that's why we continue the first pasuk we say after Shema is v'ahavta b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol moedecha, and Chazal say in Maseches Brachos that b'chol moedecha means b'chol midah, whatever Hashem does for us. we're still thanking Hashem. In other words, that's the avodah v'chol moedecha. Whatever it is, we're still thanking Hashem. Nothing is going to take us away from loving Hashem and thanking Hashem. And that's why we continue the next pasuk, the very next pasuk. A person is in his own home. A person feels the comfort of his own home. Is there? It's much easier for a person to feel this avodah of his shtavus, of a person feels, I'm the same person. During the day, you're all over the place. When you come home in the evening, is now you're at home, now you're in your own comfort zone, now you're home, now you feel that you can apply this min of shtavus. Now I can be normal, now I can be tranquil, I'm home. But shivtecha b'visacha is one thing. You're going to be on the way. It's going to be the same avodah. It's going to be the same avodah. This is what the pasuk of Shema Yisrael is teaching us. It's going to be the same avodah. Night and day, it's all the same avodah. This is mamish the avodah of Shema Yisrael, and this is the fundamental of being a yid, of being an Eved Hashem. Hashem places us in this world, and a yid has to have ishtavus. We say a person's going to leave this world the same way as a person came into this world, which means the person's got to have this concept of ishtavus. That's the whole concept now of why Yaakov Avinu introduced Tfilas Arvis. He instituted Mariv, Tfilas Arvis. Why? Because Mariv, night, by very definition, has a lot of changes. Number one, it's a change from the day. And number two, we begin the Birchas Krishma at night with expressing this idea, this concept that Hashem is the Meshane Se'itim, Machlev Esazmanim. Everything's by night, by very definition, is completely different. It's completely different. Night is a shinui. Night is a shinui, and that's why the Torah begins, Vaye'erev, Vayevoika, Yom Echad. There's an Erev and there's a Boika. But a Yid has to know that it's Yom Echad. The Yid has to know that it's all one, and it's all one avodah. And this is the avodah of Laila. That's why Yaakov Avinu instituted Tfilas Arvis. It comes to Tfilas Arvis, and a person says the same Baruch Ato Hashem, is a person has to feel the same Baruch Ato Hashem. Hashem, whether it's day or whether it's night, it's the same Baruch Ato Hashem. That's the midah of Shtavus. Yaakov Avinu is the Yoshev Aholim. The more a person belongs in a shul, the more a person spends time in a Beis HaMedrash, the more you acquire this midah of Shtavus. It's an incredible thing. When you go around the world, people who travel, you go around the world, it can be anywhere in the world, can be in anywhere. Outside looks different. You're going touring. You want to see something new. You want to see different things. You want to see different cultures. You want to see different. So you tour different countries. When you go into a shul, it's the same thing. I want to tour. I want to see what a shul looks in this country. The Arna Kodesh might have been the paroiches, the curtain might have been designed differently. It's exactly the same shul. Every shul is the same. Different carpentry, different, but it's all the same. You're going touring, you'll see the outside world is different. When you come into a shul, Yaakov Avinu is a Yoshev Aholim. The more you belong to an inside world, the less you're affected by the changes that take place on the outside world. So this is the avodah of Yaakov Avinu. This is the love on Garti. This is the Yaakov Avinu lives in an inside world. He's an Ish Tom Yoshev Aholim. When you live in an inside world, is then you're unaffected by what's going on outside. And this is the secret of the avodah of Shabbos Kodesh. And that's why Shabbos is also Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu has a very unique relationship to Shabbos. The Pasuk says, V'achalticha nachlas Yaakov Avicha. Shabbos is Yaakov's day. What makes Shabbos Yaakov's day? The answer is exactly what we're saying. Because Shabbos is kavua v'kaima. Shabbos is kavua, it's kvius, it's fixed. It's the same avodah. By Min Shul in Yerushalayim, we have a certain amount, and we have a cycle of nigunim. We don't have just people coming and singing. There's a certain cycle, there's a certain seder, there's a certain kvius. Shabbos is a kavua v'kaima. Shabbos is a day of kvius. In other words, during the week, you're all over the place. What's the feeling that you have when you come to Shul on Shabbos? So if you get off the train just outside here and go home and Erev Shabbos, and 10 minutes later you're in Shul for Kabbalah Shabbos, then you won't feel any change. You won't feel the kriyas of Shabbos. But a person that goes into Shabbos properly, when it comes to Shabbos, the feeling is, wow, Sunday I was here, Monday I was there. Not even geographically, Tuesday I was dealing with this stress, and Wednesday with that stress. Comes to Shabbos, This is the same Shabbos. Shabbos is Kavod Kaima. Shabbos teaches you, as a Yid, what are you getting so stressed about? It's all the same. It's all clear. It's all the same. It's all Geshmak. It's not the same, meaning it's boring, Chas v'shalom. But it's just the same. It's tranquil. It doesn't throw you off board. Shabbos is Kavod Kaima. And that is Mamish. This is Yaakov Avinu's day. Yaakov Avinu's day. Yaakov teaches us this avoida of what it means, just the middle of his shtavus. And by tzaddikim, you see this middle of his shtavus in the most incredible way. I heard we're fortunate. I have the Amshnav Rebbe's doctor, the Davens Bas in Shul, and whenever I ask him to talk up something about the Amshnav Rebbe, to tell people about him a bit, the same point he says always. He says over the same thing always, and he says that he's been and he's spoken to the Rebbe, and he's had to give the Rebbe different information. He's had to give the Rebbe over diagnosis. A few years ago, he was diagnosed with a machla, and different his mother, and all different types of news. He says he has never, ever, ever seen a shinoi, a kihuzeh, in getting a shock or losing himself, even if not for 1 second. He said his mid of his shtavus is something that's it's mind-boggling. He never loses himself, Somebody once told the Rebbe, somebody who was diagnosed with the machl, told the Rebbe, it's such a pachad. The Rebbe said, what's a big pachad? I know this is what Hashem wants now, this is what Hashem wants today and tomorrow. What's the big deal? Like he was talking so naturally. This is that tzaddikim have this midah of Shtavas. This is the midah of Shabbos Kodesh. This is the midah of Pnimiyah. This is the midah of Yaakov Avinu. This is the midah of Imlov and Garti. And that's why Yaakov Avinu has a very strong relationship also with Sukkos, with Chag HaSukkos. The Gimel Regalim are divided: Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkos. And Yaakov Avinu is Sukkos. V'Yaakov Nosa Sukkoisa. What is unique about Sukkos? First of all, we take the Arba Minim. V'Lekachtem Lachem V'Yem Rishon. Pre-Eitz Hadar. Why is the Esra called a pre-Eitz Hadar? So one of the pshatim in the Gemara is that it's a peri Hadar Be'ilonoi Mishana Lashana. It's a peri that's dar be'ilonai mishana lashana, which means that it stays on the tree and it doesn't fall off, which means that the snow and the winds and the howling winds and the gales don't push it off the tree. And a kind of scorching sun doesn't do anything. It stays on the tree. And anything that can happen during the year, all the different seasons and all the different climates, and the esrog stays on the tree. The esrog has a midah of hishtavus. Esrog stays where it is. The esrog doesn't budge. And that's the sod of the esrog, and that's why, Al Pi Rizal, the person's going to be very careful to make sure that when he's holding the Arba Minim, the lulav and the esrog are touching each other. He mustn't put his hand, he mustn't hold the lulav like this and the esrog like this, and his hand is dividing between the lulav and the esrog. The two have to be holding and touching. The lulav represents the midah of Yosef HaTzadik. It's brought down in Chazal. What was the midah of Yosef HaTzadik? The midah of Yosef HaTzadik is brought down in Rashi, the beginning of Parashat Shmois. VaYosef Hoya b'Mitzrayim. What does Rashi say on VaYosef Hoya b'Mitzrayim? Rashi says it's the same Yosef. Nobody underwent the same changes in life that Yosef HaTzadik. He was on the top and he was at the bottom. He was thrown down and he was lifted up and down, up and down. Nobody in history of Tanakh went through the different extremes that Yosef HaTzadik went through in his life. But Yosef Hoya b'Mitzrayim. Who Yosef? Yosef is the lulav, and the esrog is the same thing. The esrog is hadar meilonai lishana lashona. Sukkos represents, this is Yaakov's yomtiv. This is Yaakovinu's yomtiv. This is the yomtiv of Hishtavos. This is Yaakov Avinu. And this is also the whole idea of sukkah, going into the sukkah. We know that we say in the Yerotzim that one of the ideas of going into a sukkah is that you're going into Golus. You're leaving your house, you're going into Golus. It's put down in the Yerotzim, and the Sfarim talk about one of the concepts of sukkahs is that you leave your house and you go into Golus. What you call sukkah Golus, you open up any sefer and they tell you that sitting in the sukkah is sitting with Tzila D'Menusa, and you're surrounded by those shpizin. You couldn't be in a better place. Now, what are you talking about? That sukkah is Golus? That's Golus. I'm leaving my house. I'm going into Golus. Sukkah is the Tzila D'Menusa. We're the most secure. We feel Hashem all around us. What's the pshat? The answer is that's exactly Mitzvah Sukkah. Mitzvah Sukkah is the koyach that when you leave to Golus and you go into Golus, you can feel as if you're at home. That is the Yom Tov of Sukkot. That's the Yom Tov of Sukkot. The Yom Tov of Sukkot is the feeling that wherever I am, I'm B'tzilad Memenusa. And that's the relationship between going into the sukkah and shaking the arba minim and shaking the arba minim in the sukkah. The arba minim, the lulav and the esrog correspond to wherever I am. There's a consistency. There's a midas hishtavus in my avodah. My avodah is Shavah, my avodah is the same wherever it is. So when I have to go into Golus, I step into the Sukkah and I make my home wherever it is in Golus. I make that into the Tzila D'Rei Menusa. That's the avodah of Sukkahs. That is Yaakov Avinu. That's exactly the avodah of Ishtavus, the avodah of Yaakov Avinu. That's why Yaakov Avinu is Sukkoisa. Yaakov Avinu is Shabbos. Yaakov Avinu is Sukkos. Yaakov Avinu is the one that teaches us this avodah. And this is really why Yaakov was very passionate to marry Rachel Imenu. Rachel Imenu is called the Akeres Habayis. Moishivi Akeres Habayis. Akeres Habayis is corresponds to Rachel Imenu. Rachel Imenu is called the Bayis. What is Rachel Imenu's role? Rachel Imenu's role is exactly what we're discussing. She builds the bias. Where does she build the bias? She doesn't build the bias in Eretz Yisrael. She's buried in Beis Lechem in order that when the Yidden are going out to Golus, she takes care of Am Yisrael when Am Yisrael is sent into Golus. That is what Rachel Imenu is. What does she do? How does she take care of Am Yisrael in Golus? The answer is, she is the bias in Golus. She enables us to reminiscence. She enables us to be in a bias in wherever we're living and to feel that we are in the Beis HaMikdash. And that's why Yaakov was so passionate to marry her. Because what happened when Yaakov Avinu was leaving Eretz Yisrael and Yaakov Avinu was going down? Says Rashi, there was a miracle. What was the miracle? The miracle was that Har HaMoriah left and came to Yaakov Avinu. In other words, Yaakov Avinu, you're going away from Har HaMoriah. You're going away from a Makom Kodesh. You're going away from Eretz Yisrael. You're going down to Chutz La'aretz. But Yaakov Avinu is Yaakov Avinu. What's Yaakov Avinu's avodah? Wherever I am, I'm the same. If wherever I are, you're same, you need the Beis HaMikdash with you wherever you go. You got to have the Beis HaMikdash. And that's why, by the way, it was Yaakov Avinu that he was already concerned about, he planted cedar trees already, he went down to Mitzrayim, he planted cedar trees. Why? Because he was thinking of the Mishkan. Yaakov Avinu goes down, Yaakov Avinu is thinking of the Mishkan, Yaakov Avinu is living in a world, living a life, and living in a world of Geula. And this is Rachel Imenu. Rachel Imenu is the one that brings the home away from home. And therefore Yaakov was so passionate for this reason to marry Rachel Imenu. So this idea of not living with the changes, living in a home, living with a home, feeling the tranquility of our home, sweet home, wherever we are, which enables us to continue the avodah the way it was when there was a Beis HaMikdash, and to continue that avodah wherever we are, that is Yaakov Avinu. It comes with him. And that's every Shabbos we say, Rav Loch Sheves, we sing in Lachadoidi, Rav Loch Sheves be'emek habacha. What does it mean, Rav Loch Sheves be'emek habacha? So it's brought down in the Svarim. One of the pshatim is that Rav Loch Sheves, how great the Shabbos is for us, be'emek habacha. Even if we are in the valley of crying, even if we're in Golus, what would we do without the Shabbos? Shabbos is the only way to remain with a frame of mind when it comes into Golus. When you have to go out to Golus and you still have the Shabbos with you. Rav Loch Sheves be'emek habacha. When we get dressed for Shabbos and we walk to shul on Shabbos, we feel like the Beis HaMikdash. When we come home on a Friday night, we walk into our home. We have to feel like the home. We have to feel like the candles. We have to feel like we're walking into a Mikdash Ma'at. We're walking into a Beis HaMikdash. This is Yaakov Avinu. This is what Yaakov Avinu enables us to do. This is the avodah of Yaakov and Rachel. And this is really what the Yom Tov of Chanukah is all about as well. The Yom Tov of Chanukah is the Yom Tov of the bias. It's the din of the bias. The menorah is the kavim tzoi. The menorah is the bechin of Yaakov Avinu. Whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, you're facing the middle. The middle path is is Yaakov Avinu. It's the kavim tzoi. It's the kav that represents the middle, and the middle is the hishtavus of not changing. And therefore, that's why by lighting the menorah, the pasuk says, "Vayas kein Aharon," says Rashi, "Melamed lahagid shvoche shel Aaron shaloi shina." What does it mean, shaloi shina? He didn't deviate. Of course, he didn't deviate from what he was told to do. Melamed lahagid shel Aaron shaloi shina means that the Yaakov Avinu that Aaron HaKohen didn't fall into the world of Shinoi. Aaron HaKohen and the menorah revealed this midah that Aaron HaKohen had this midah of hishtavus. Shaloi Shina. He didn't allow himself changes. He didn't allow himself to get overly emotional this way or that way. No changes. Golus, by very definition, is changes. The first Golus that we were in was the Golus Mitzrayim. And The Golus Mitzrayim, the leader was Pari, and who changes his mind all the time. Pari comes running, I'll let the Jews out. He's emotional, we have to let the Jews out. And then a minute later, no, he's strong, he's stubborn, he's not letting the Jews out. Who represents the opposite of the middle of Yaakov Avinu? Golus is Hishtanis. Golus, people are changing the whole time. Fashions are changing. Models of cars are changing. You buy a pair of glasses, you keep it for a year, people look at you out already, and you have to wait for 10 years till it comes back into fashion, and then you're back in fashion. But everything is changing. Everything is changing. Even as we said before, a person's home should be the mid of hishtavus, of not needing to change, not living in a world of change. And unfortunately today, every year, every 2 years, you're going to pull out the carpet, pull out the floorboards. Everything's got to change. When I was sitting Shiva, my father was Nifta, I was sitting Shiva, so my parents had the same carpet for many years. And people came to a Shiva visit, and they hadn't been to the house for a while. I says, what? This is a house in London in Golders Green, still has the same carpet for a couple of years. They couldn't believe it. What is a house? A house is saving you from the shinuyim, saving you from all the shinuyim that are going on in the outside world. The world is changing and changing and changing. There's no hishtavus. There's no hishtavus. A person can't keep on the same mahalach, can't keep on the same path because everything is changing. At least you come to your house. At least your house should be a mukkah where you feel a certain feeling of hishtavus. They shouldn't be under the impression that you're going to make shinuyim the whole time. And in Golis, there's such a pressure. I know, going back to my Rebbe, I'm sorry, I'm giving examples of Amshin Rebbe all the time, but the Amshin Rebbe is wearing the same coat still since he's married. He's married over 50 years, and it was recently by Kiddush Levani. He's wearing that coat, it just didn't fit him, and I asked somebody after, he said, this is the coat he got when he was a chosn. And he's married to someone for 55, 56 years. He can't take changes in the house. The people have often, he's not stingy. He's not coming from a lack of things. He's just, his whole avoidance, his shtavus, his whole avoidance, he's just, people asked me the first year I went there, they said, what is Rosh Hashanah like by him? So I was expecting this Rosh Hashanah, I was expecting to see somebody becoming invisible, something to wings, and I don't know who. And it was the same if you see him reciting an Ashiyotza in the middle of the year in Rosh Hashanah. By tzaddikim, they're living in the world of they're just not tachas shinuyim. Their avodah is so straightforward. Their avodah is so consistent, and it's so, and everything he does is with such emotion, and that emotion you see by every little avodah for years and years and years and years and years and years, and it's incredible. And we all change, even change for the better. But he's also climbing higher and higher. But there's a hishtavus that you see this, and this is what you see by all tzaddikim, the same thing. Have the same thing. I remember I was told by nephew of Shlomo Baba. I remember he says that he davened there for years and years and years. He says every morning he came into the Bais Medrash in the Borough Park here, and he came like 5 minutes to 8, marching like a soldier. He came in, he had the same tenuah, and how he did this and how he put that, and it was exactly the same every day, but with the greatest fervor, with the greatest simcha, and the simcha was there every day. And the simcha was the shtavas. Nothing became stale. This is the avodah of Hishtavas. This is the mid of Yaakov Avinu. This is the love and garti. This is the avodah for Chanukah. This is the avodah of keeping to the kavim tzoi. Melamed lahagid shvacha shel Aaron shaloi shina. We're living in a world of shinuyim, and these shinuyim blow a person all over the place. And even in Ruchnis, it's so difficult for a person to be consistent doing one thing. How many mesachtas does a person start without finishing? How many good kabbalas does a person undertake? And one day it's good, the next day it's good, and then it starts wearing off already. It's got to do with if a person is a Yoshev Aholim, if a person's focus is more in the inside world, if a person's focus is more in the Shabbos and more in the inside world, so then he's not Tachas Shinuyim. And then a person is consistent, he gets somewhere in life, he meets his goals in life, and then the Simcha, and this is the Sod of Yaakov Avinu, the Sod of Yaakov that takes you all the way to the Ekev, takes you all the way to the Iksad of Mashiach. Kuli Alma, everybody feels that we're mamish very close to the Gula, and this is the aura, this is the light. The light is to be consistent. The light is to be ikvi, to be consistent to the midah of Hishtavas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us that we should all be Zocher Be'ez Hashem, to get up every day with the same vigor, with the same excitement, and to come to davening every day. I always tell people say, what's the secret of doing this? The secret of doing this is how you get up in the morning. That's the secret of doing it. How you get up in the morning. Also, the Shlomo Bava, one of his bachrim who slept with him when he was a very old man already. So he said he every day got up with the same thing. He used to, I don't know, the Gabba woke him up, or alarm clock, whatever the case is. He started talking like a general. They heard the Rebbe saying like, up, Yeah, that's he was in his late 80s already, and he was doing it every morning, and then he got up and he was like It's the same ikvius, and the more a person lives in an inside world, the inside world is so geschmack. Everybody goes to Gedolim in Eretz Yisrael. Also here, but go on, they marvel. I think when Menachem Begin came to Moshe Feinstein's house, and he just couldn't believe that Moshe Feinstein, the God Ladar, had the old furniture. He had nothing. He had such old furniture in his house, and he mentioned it to Moshe they don't look at it as old furniture. Their whole life is so behishtavis. They don't feel they need changes. Everybody, we're all human beings. Everybody needs a change of scenery from time to time. But a person can have a change of scenery even on a daily basis if he teaches himself, he disciplines himself for this mid of ikvius. So Hashem should help us, and Hashem, that we should be zocher to Yaakov, Ekev, the Ikas and the Mashiach, and to the Gula, Shleim, and Meher, B'Yameinu, Amen. Yevonim, nikbetzu alai, yazai bimei chashmanim, ufartzu chaymas mignalai, metimu kol hashmanim, ayayomi noisar kankanim, nasoneis lashashanim, b'nei mino yemei shmoino, chavu shiru rananim, B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru Rananim Yevanim Nikbetzu Alai Yazai B'nei Chashmanim Ufartzu Chaymas Migdalai Metimu Kol Hashmanim Yayomi Noisar Kankanim Nasoneis Lashashanim B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru Yevonim Nikbetzu Alai shouldn't change Nigunim Azai B'mei Chashmanim Ufartzu Chaymois Migdalai Metimu Kol Hashmanim Yevonim Nikbetzu Alai Yazai B'mei Chashmanim Ufartzu Chaymois Migdalai Metimu Kol Hashmanim Noyomi Noisa Kankanim Nasones Lashoy Shanim B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru Renanim Noisa Kankanim Nasones Lashoy Shanim B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru Renanim Yevonim Nikbetzu Alai Yazai B'mei Chashmanim Ufartzu Chaymois Migdalai Metimu Kol Hashmanim Yevonim Nikbetzu Alai Yazai B'mei Chashmanim Ufartzu Chaymois Migdalai Metimu Kol Hashmanim Yomi Noisa Kankanim Nasones Lashoy Shanim B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru Renanim Yomi Noisa Kankanim Nasones Lashoy Shanim B'nei Mina Yemei Shmoina Kavu Shiru It says, Vayove Yaakov Shalom. So Chazal say the shleimus of Yaakov was that he didn't forget his Torah. Yaakov Avinu has to do with the matana that we have of a Yid shouldn't forget. A Yid is not allowed to forget. Torah is not allowed to forget mitzvahs. The Inyan of Shechacha is not just in terms of a person forgetting needs a good memory, but a person's got to remember all the time. He mustn't forget what he's doing over here. A person can live his whole life, especially a person works hard and he's career orientated, and the person can forget where he's going. And this the idea also in Chanukah that the one that lahashkicham terasecha. Yaakov Avinu is connected to the Kisei HaKoved. Yaakov Avinu says his neshamas chatzur v'tachas Kisei HaKoved. We say in Rosh Hashanah, Ki ein shechecha lefnei chisei chavodecha. There's no forgetting by the kisei kovod. If you're mechuber to the kisei kovod, is then you don't forget. Yaakov Avinu is connected to the kisei kovod. So Yaakov Avinu, through everything he went through in life, he didn't forget where he's going, what he's doing. If a person remembers what his avodah is in life, then wherever he is, he remembers. He doesn't. It's not Mesiach Das. The world of Olam Hazeh makes a person forget what his tachlis is. It comes to the end of the year, a person starts remembering. The Rambam writes, the famous Rambam in Hilchos Shofar, that the mitzvah of Tekiyas Shofar is a remez, Elu hashoichechem es ha'emes b'havlei hazman. People that forget the emes, forget where they're going. Emes is Aleph Mem Tov. It's a path. It starts from Aleph, you got to get to the Tov. People forget on the path. They forget where they're going. Hashoichechem es ha'emes b'havlei hazman. Yaakov Avinu is the inyan of remembering. Yaakov Avinu is the soy that helps us. He's connected to the inyan of Kisei HaKavod, and that's why Yaakov Avinu remembers. The whole inyan of doing tshuva, as we said on Shofar, is a person has to be a makabel upon himself not to forget where he's going, to keep himself remembering where he's going. Shabbos is from the letters Toshev. Shabbos is the man of the day, the time of the week for a person to be misvoinen and to do tshuva. And what is the tshuva? Tshuva is to remember, not to forget. And therefore the one mitzvah essay there is on Shabbos is Zucker. Zucker is Yom HaShabbos L'Katre. Zucker is Yom Torah mitzvahs is just all about remembering. All about remembering. If you remember, you're okay. If problems start when you start forgetting. That's why the mitzvah of tzitzis is the mitzvah which has Tariag mitzvahs. Tariag mitzvahs. Tzitzis is gematria 600 with the 5 knots and the 8 strings. It's Tariag mitzvahs. Or Isa Moisai is Chartem is called mitzvahs Hashem Asisa Moisai. The side of Yiddishkeit is constantly to remember and to remember, not to forget. What causes a person to forget? All things you forget. Also things which are not important to you, you forget. But also things which are old, things eventually you start forgetting. How does a person view Yiddishkeit? How do you view Judaism? The Yontiv of Chanukah is the avoid of his chachus. If a person feels Torah mitzvahs, as we said earlier, that you get up every day with a feeling of his chachus, then you don't forget. You don't forget new things, you forget old things. The Yevonim wanted lahashkicham Torah secha ulavir mechuker etzenecha. They wanted Klal Yisrael. The Yevonim were the inventors of the modern world. They were the inventors of the modern world, and therefore they viewed Judaism as something that's old, and that's what it means lahashkicham Torah secha. They wanted us to view Judaism as something that is old. Yeah, it's old, like the message that the Reform wanted to give over. That this is all old. Now you've got to adapt to something that's more modern. So of course you forget Yiddishkeit, and of course it can cause assimilation, and then after one generation, Yiddishkeit, Judaism is completely forgotten. Because if it's Judaism, if your whole idea of Judaism, your whole concept of Judaism, that it's an old thing, you're going to forget it. Because anything that's old, you forget. The avodah of Chanukah, getting close to Chanukah, is the hischachus of a person's got to feel all the time hischachus in Torah mitzvahs. When you feel hischachus in Torah mitzvahs, then you don't forget. So that's the mitzvah of tzitzis. That's the mitzvah of Shabbos. Shabbos is a zeichel l'maisa breishis. Shabbos takes everything back to the beginning. Shabbos is a day where we go back to the beginning. Shabbos is a day where we feel the beginning. A yid has to feel v'hoyu advar ma'ela shanoichim etzavcha hayoim. You have to feel all the time it's hayoim. It's today. It's today. It's new to me. It's new to me. And that is what that is mamish what we were fighting with the Yevonim with. So everything we do should be in a matzah of hischachus, and a person where Golus is long. It's a long Golus. It's almost 2,000 years already. It's taken a long time. And, there's a mitzvah to remember Im Eshkochech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yimini. A person Chas v'Shalom mustn't forget. It's almost 2,000 years, but a person mustn't forget. And Yedua that Napoleon, when he saw the Yidden lamenting the Chorban Beis HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av, he couldn't believe that something that happened 1,500 years ago, it was so vivid and people haven't forgotten it already. And hadn't forgotten it, but the Yidden was sitting on the floor crying as if it just happened. This is mamish. That's called an Oved Hashem. That's called an Eved Hashem. An Oved is somebody that feels that all Yiddishkeit is old. How Sinai was thousands of years ago. But nevertheless, when we feel it's mamish new to us, and this is the chiddush of Yiddishkeit, that has this koyach of ischachus all the time, and then memela, there's an inyan of zechira, and the memela, then there's no lashkicham teresech la'avir mechuker etzanecha. So this is the kisei kovod, and that's very beautiful. Why tzitzis is to remember, not to forget. And what enables us when we look at our tzitzis not to forget, because tzitzis has a chut shel tchelas, and tchelas is doimen layam, and the yam is doimen l'rakia, and rakia is doimen to the kisei hakovet. So once you get to the kisei hakovet, you don't forget. So there's a mitzvah of re'isim, I say, looking at your tzitzis. When you look at your tzitzis, you're looking at the kisei hakovet. You're looking at the kisei hakovet, and ein shechachol ifnei kisei kvedachos, then you don't forget. So that is a very important concept. And again, in outside Eretz Yisrael, especially people are so busy with everything, is there's a certain rhythm, and it gets difficult. Shuls, davening, it's like old. You feel that people feel it's like a certain feeling of old. There's no ischachus, and this is what the avodah of Chanukah is. Every Yid should be makabel on himself. What can I do to make it new? What can I do to make it new? One of the things is a person wakes up in the morning has to feel like a newly born baby. That's why Kodesh Baruch Hu makes a person sleep at night, in order that when he wakes up, he should feel he's waking up into a whole new world, into a whole new life, into a whole new person, and everything's now mischadish. His whole life is starting all over again now. His whole life is starting all over again. The person bears that in mind. He gets up early enough to be mizmainen and to make that cheshbon nefesh. Then in Mitzvah Hashem, a person will have a day of ischadshus. We should be zochim Mitzvah Hashem to elech the Chanukah and to the Gula Shleima b'mehera b'yameinu amen. Shkoyach, shkoyach, shkoyach. Yeah. What did he say? I should take it out.